My 9-year-old daughter came home crying because her cousins told her we were thieves. I stayed quiet, made her hot chocolate, and let her talk. A week later, those same cousins watched as their parents were escorted out by security. But I'm getting ahead of myself. It was a Tuesday when everything changed. Not the day Marcus died. That was 6 months earlier, and I'd already cried myself empty by then. No. This was the day his brother Devin showed up at my classroom after school, with a smile that didn't reach his eyes and a lawyer I'd never met. I was erasing the whiteboard, chalk dust floating in the afternoon light when I heard the door open. I teach 4th grade at Lincoln Elementary, the kind of old brick building that smells like floor wax and decades of childhood. It's honest work. Exhausting, underpaid but honest. Sarah, Devin said, walking in like he owned the place. Behind him was a man in an expensive suit carrying a briefcase that probably cost more than my monthly salary. I turned, marker still in hand. Devin, what are you doing here? We need to talk about Marcus's estate. My stomach dropped. Estate, like my husband had been some kind of wealthy businessman instead of a high school history teacher who collected vintage maps and made terrible puns at dinner. There's nothing to discuss, I said carefully. Everything was handled months ago. Devin's smile widened. That's where you're wrong. The lawyer stepped forward, extending his hand. Mrs. Chen, I'm Robert Fitzgerald. I represent the Walker Family Trust. I didn't shake his hand. Marcus didn't have a family trust. Actually, Fitzgerald said, opening his briefcase. He did. His grandfather established it in 1987. Marcus was the primary beneficiary. Upon his death, the assets should have transferred to his surviving family members, his siblings. I'm his surviving family, I said. My voice came out sharper than I intended. Me and Lily. Devin shook his head, all false sympathy. Sarah, you were married for 8 years? That's not really family, not in the legal sense. The trust was very specific about bloodlines. I stared at him. This man had eaten at my table, had held Lily when she was born, had cried at Marcus's funeral and told me I'd always be his sister. 2 weeks ago, apparently, that expired. Get out, I said quietly. We're not trying to hurt you, Devin said. But the trust is worth nearly $2 million. That money belongs to the Walker family, to me and Vanessa and Jordan. Not to the woman who was married to your brother? Not to his daughter? Fitzgerald cleared his throat. There are legal procedures, Mrs. Chen. We can do this easily, or we can involve the courts. But the outcome will be the same. I looked at them both. Devin with his rehearsed concern, Fitzgerald with his cold professionalism, and felt something shift inside me. Not anger, something colder. I'll see you in court, I said. They left. I sat down at my desk and didn't move for 20 minutes. That night I couldn't sleep. Lily was in her room, probably reading under the covers with a flashlight like I used to do. She had Marcus's eyes, his quiet way of thinking before speaking. At 9 years old, she already felt like the smartest person I knew. I kept replaying Devin's words. $2 million. Marcus had never mentioned anything like that. We'd lived modestly. Teacher salaries, a small house, one car that wheezed in winter. He'd left me a life insurance policy that barely covered the funeral, and 6 months of mortgage payments. If there was money, where had it been all this time? By sunrise, I'd made 3 decisions. 1, call a lawyer. 2, protect Lily from this. 3, find out the truth about what Marcus had known. I started with the truth. Marcus's office was exactly as he'd left it. Maps on every wall, books stacked in precarious towers, his reading glasses on the desk next to a coffee mug that still had a ring at the bottom. I hadn't been able to go through it yet. Grief has a way of making you superstitious about moving things, but now I needed answers. I started with the filing cabinet. Tax returns, mortgage papers, my teaching certification, Lily's birth certificate, normal life documented. Then I found a folder labeled Walker Trust Confidential. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside were letters. Dozens of them, stretching back 15 years. Letters from Marcus's grandfather's estate attorney. Letters about the trust, about distributions, about Marcus's rights as a beneficiary. I read them all, standing there in the dusty morning light, and slowly the picture came together. Marcus had known about the trust his entire life. His grandfather, Raymond Walker, had made his money in real estate and established the trust to provide for his grandchildren. Marcus, Devin, Vanessa, and Jordan were all beneficiaries, but the trust had specific terms. Primary beneficiary received full control upon reaching age 40, or upon the death of the trust's originator, whichever came first. Raymond had died 8 years ago. Marcus had been 36. That meant Marcus had controlled the trust since we'd been married. But there was more. Buried in the stack was a letter from just 2 years ago. Marcus had restructured the trust. He'd moved everything into a new family trust, one that named me and Lily as sole beneficiaries. Devin, Vanessa, and Jordan were removed entirely, at the bottom of the letter, in Marcus's handwriting. They don't need this. But Sarah and Lily will. I sat down hard on the floor, papers scattered around me. He'd known. Somehow he'd known he wouldn't be here. Marcus died of a brain aneurysm. 1 minute he was grading papers at the kitchen table, the next he was gone. The doctor said it was instant, unpredictable, impossible to prevent, but the letter was dated 6 months before his death. He couldn't have known. Unless... I kept reading. Another letter, this one from a doctor. Medical records. Test results. A diagnosis I'd never heard about. Cerebral arteriovenous malformation. A tangle of blood vessels in his brain that could rupture at any time. The doctor had recommended surgery. Marcus had declined. Said he wanted to wait until summer break so it wouldn't disrupt Lily's school year. He'd never told me. Never said a word. I sat there crying into papers that smelled like old filing cabinets and secrets, understanding finally that my husband had died protecting us from something I hadn't even known was coming. The lawyer I hired was named Patricia Moreno. She was 50, sharp-eyed, and didn't waste time on sympathy. "Do you have the trust documents?" she asked. I handed them over. She read quickly, making notes. "This is straightforward," she said. "Your husband had full legal authority to restructure the trust. His siblings have no claim. Then why are they trying? Because $2 million makes people stupid." She looked up. "They're hoping you don't have documentation. Or that you won't fight." "I'll fight." "Good. Because they're going to make this ugly." She wasn't wrong. 3 days later, Lily came home from school crying. Not the normal scraped knee crying, but the deep, shaking kind that means something broke inside. I held her on the couch while she sobbed into my shoulder. "Baby, what happened?" "Chloe and Mason said we're thieves." Her voice was muffled, small. "They said we stole their dad's money and that's why we have to give everything back." Chloe and Mason, Devin's kids. They were in 5th and 6th grade at the same school. I'd watched them grow up alongside Lily. "They said everyone knows," Lily continued, "that you tricked Daddy into giving you money that wasn't yours. That you're a bad person, and Daddy would be ashamed." Something cold and sharp settled in my chest. "Lily, look at me." I waited until she met my eyes. "Your father loved us more than anything in the world. Everything he did to protect us. The money isn't stolen. It's ours because he wanted it to be ours. Do you understand?" She nodded, but I could see the doubt. Kids don't process legal nuance. They process what other kids say on the playground. "I want you to stay away from Chloe and Mason," I said. "If they say anything else, you walk away and tell a teacher. Everyone's going to think we're bad. Let them think whatever they want. We know the truth." But that night lying in bed, I wasn't so sure anymore. Not about the truth. I had that in legal documents. But about whether the truth mattered when people had already decided who the villain was. The court hearing was scheduled for 3 weeks out. Patricia filed a motion to dismiss Devin's claim. Devin's lawyer filed a counter-motion alleging fraud and undue influence. "They're claiming Marcus wasn't of sound mind when he restructured the trust," Patricia explained. "That you manipulated him while he was dealing with a medical diagnosis. That's insane. He didn't even tell me about the diagnosis, I know. But they're going to paint you as a gold digger who saw an opportunity. I'm a 4th grade teacher. We lived in a 1,200 square foot house. Doesn't matter. You're an outsider to the Walker family. That's all they need." She was right. Over the next 2 weeks, the story spread. Devin and his wife Melissa had apparently been very vocal at their church, their gym, their kids' school. The narrative was simple. Poor Marcus, manipulated by his wife, money stolen from his grieving siblings. I heard whispers at the grocery store. Parents at Lily's school avoided eye contact. One of my colleagues asked me quietly if it was true. If I was really fighting Marcus's family over money, I wanted to scream. I wanted to stand in the middle of the school parking lot and shout the truth until everyone understood. Instead, I made dinner, helped Lily with homework, and prepared for court. The day of the hearing, I wore the black dress I'd worn to Marcus's funeral. It felt appropriate, mourning and war at the same time. The courtroom was smaller than I'd expected. Wood paneling, fluorescent lights, a judge who looked tired before we'd even started. Devin sat across the aisle with Vanessa and Jordan. They'd clearly coordinated, all wearing dark suits, all looking appropriately grave. Melissa held Devin's hand. Vanessa dabbed at her eyes with a tissue. I sat alone. Patricia beside me, papers organized in neat stacks. The judge called the case. Devin's lawyer stood first. Your Honor, this is a tragic case of exploitation. Marcus Walker, while dealing with a terminal medical diagnosis, was convinced by his wife to disinherit his siblings, his blood family, in favor of a woman he'd only known for 8 years. The restructuring of the trust was done in secret, without the knowledge or consent of the other beneficiaries, and represents a clear case of undue influence. Patricia stood. Your Honor, the trust documents are clear. Marcus Walker had full legal authority to restructure the trust as he saw fit. He did so with sound mind, with proper legal counsel, and with his own notarized signature. His medical condition was being monitored, but was not terminal. He died suddenly and unexpectedly from a rupture that doctors could not predict. There was no undue influence. This is simply a case of disappointed heirs who believe they're entitled to money that was never theirs. The judge looked at the documents. He read for what felt like hours. Finally, he looked up. Mr. Fitzgerald, do you have any evidence that Mrs. Chen was aware of her husband's medical condition when the trust was restructured? The diagnosis was made 4 months before the restructuring, Your Honor. She must have known. That's speculation. Do you have evidence? Silence! Do you have any evidence that Marcus Walker was not of sound mind? His decision to disinherit his siblings suggests that's not evidence of mental incompetence, counsel. That's disagreement with his choices. The judge looked at Patricia. Ms. Moreno, you have the original trust documents? Yes, Your Honor, as well as the restructuring documents, all properly executed and notarized. Additionally, I have a letter from Marcus Walker to his estate attorney, written at the time of restructuring, explicitly stating his reasons and intentions. She handed up a paper. I'd read it 100 times. To whom it may concern, I am restructuring the Walker Family Trust to provide for my wife Sarah and daughter Lily. This is my decision, made of my own free will, with full understanding of its implications. My siblings are adults with their own resources. Sarah has sacrificed her own career advancement to support our family, and Lily deserves security. This is what I want. This is my legacy. Marcus Walker. The judge read it twice. Mr. Fitzgerald, he said finally, I see no grounds for your claim. The trust was restructured legally and with clear intent. Motion to dismiss is granted. The trust assets belong to Sarah Chen and Lily Walker as per the restructured terms. The gavel came down. Devin stood up. This isn't over, he said, loud enough for the whole courtroom to hear. The judge looked at him. Actually, Mr. Walker, it is. Unless you want to be held in contempt. Devin sat down. I didn't feel victorious. I felt hollow. Outside the courtroom, Patricia shook my hand. It's done. The money transfers to you within 30 days. Thank you, I said. My voice sounded far away. Devin and his family walked past without looking at me. But I heard Melissa say just loud enough, "Gold digger." I turned. Say that again, she stopped. You heard me. I loved Marcus more than you'll ever understand. I didn't know about the money. I didn't want the money. I wanted my husband. And now I have legal documents and an empty bed. My voice cracked. So call me whatever you want. But don't you dare pretend this was about money. For the first time, Melissa looked uncertain. Let's go, Devin said, pulling her away. I stood there in the courthouse hallway, shaking, until Patricia guided me to a bench. You okay? She asked. No, I said. But I will be. The money transferred on a Thursday. $2,143,000 appeared in my bank account like a ghost, like something that belonged to another life. I stared at the number on my phone screen and cried. Not because of the money. Because Marcus had known. He'd known he might not be there, and he'd done this anyway, quietly, without drama, just to make sure we'd be okay. That night, I sat with Lily and explained everything. Not the legal details, but the important parts. Daddy left us money, I said. A lot of money. Because he loved us and wanted us to be safe. Is that why Uncle Devin is mad? Yes. That's stupid. I almost laughed. Yeah, baby, it is. What are we going to do with it? Good question. I thought about it. What do you think Daddy would want? She considered this seriously, the way she always did. He'd want us to be happy and to help people. Yeah, I said. He would. We decided together. Half went into a trust for Lily's education. A quarter went into savings. The rest we'd use for living, not extravagantly, but comfortably. And we'd donate to causes Marcus had cared about: education, literacy, teachers' programs. I didn't quit teaching. The money didn't change who I was, but it changed what I could do. 6 months passed. Devin and his family stopped talking to us entirely. I heard through mutual acquaintances that they'd tried to appeal the court's decision, but their lawyer had advised against it. They'd only lose money on legal fees. Vanessa sent one email, months later, apologizing. She said she'd been caught up in Devin's anger, that she knew Marcus had loved me, that she was sorry for everything. I didn't respond. Some bridges once burned are better left as ash. Lily stopped coming home crying. The rumors at school faded the way childhood gossip always does. She made new friends, kids who didn't care about family drama or money. One Saturday, we were cleaning out Marcus's office, finally, after almost a year, when Lily found a video file on his computer. It was labeled "For Sarah and Lily." We watched it together on the couch, holding hands. Marcus's face filled the screen. He looked tired but calm, sitting in his office chair with maps behind him. "Sarah," he said, and I started crying immediately. "If you're watching this, I'm gone. I'm sorry. I wanted more time." He smiled sadly. "But I need you to know something. The money, the trust, that wasn't about the money. That was about making sure you never had to depend on anyone who might not love you the way you deserve. Devin and the others, they're family by blood. But you and Lily, you're family by choice. That's stronger." He looked directly at the camera, like he could see us. "Lily, sweetheart, your mom is the strongest person I've ever met. Listen to her. Learn from her. And Sarah," his voice caught, "don't let grief make you small. I loved you because you were brave. Stay brave." The video ended. We sat there in silence, tears running down both our faces. "Miss Daddy," Lily whispered. "Me too, baby. Every day." But we weren't alone. We had his words, his planning, his love that had reached forward through death to protect us. A year after the hearing, I was approached by a reporter writing about inheritance disputes. She wanted to interview me about the case, about fighting family for money. I declined. This wasn't a story about money. It was a story about love measured in legal documents, about grief weaponized and dignity defended, about a man who'd died twice, once in the body, once in the hearts of siblings who'd traded memory for wealth. But mostly it was a story about a 4th grade teacher and her daughter, learning that sometimes family isn't who shares your blood, it's who shares your burden. We're okay now. Better than okay. Lily is thriving in school, thinking about becoming a teacher like her dad. We moved to a bigger house but kept the old one and turned it into a community library. Marcus would have loved that. I still teach. 4th graders still drive me crazy with their energy and break my heart with their sweetness. I still grade papers at the kitchen table where Marcus used to sit. Some nights I sit in his office, surrounded by maps of places we'll never visit together, and I talk to him. I tell him about Lily's achievements, about the library, about the scholarship fund we started in his name. I tell him thank you. And sometimes, in the quiet, I swear I hear him say, "You're doing great. Sarah, keep going," so I do.